Y'all know what this is, right? This is an empty ribbon spool. Who has a drawer full of these? I know I do, because I said one day I'm going to do something with these. And guess what? That day has come where I've decided to do something with these. And let me plug in something while I am thinking about it. I got something I got to plug in over here. Here we go. All right, so raise your hand. Who's got some of these on hand? Show me your hands if you got something like that. And then let me show you what we're going to make today. Using that. Using that. We're going to use an empty ribbon spool. Now this one is for a 1/4 inch. I think it's a 1/4 inch. Yeah, it's for a 1/4 inch. But you can do this with any other ribbon spools. That just means that the depth is going to be, a little thicker. Okay, so we're going to put this little rascal together today, and it actually does hang. I hung it on the wall and took pictures, and it hangs really cute. And there's just so many different ideas that you could do with this. But I just wanted to put some flowers on it and give it a purpose other than just sitting in my little bin down here, along with all the other ones that are that look like this. So let's get started. And I will tell you that I should have cut this before I got started. So let me measure this out. I am using the pale papaya and white woven ribbon, and I'm measuring it off to the side, and I don't know if there's enough in that one. There's not enough in that one. All right, let me get the other one. I'm getting the other ribbon. Oh, come on. I was fighting with the other one. I was like, come on, get out. I need 3 yards of this. So let me measure out. When I did that sample, I only cut 1 yard at a time, and then I realized kind of most of the way that I really needed to, have 3 consecutive yards. It works if you have smaller pieces. It really does. Okay, but what I do want to say is there's a couple of things that you're going to need if you're making this that aren't Stampin' Up, and one of them is Scotch tape. And then the other thing that you're going to eventually need, and I plugged in a while ago, is a glue gun, so that this thing does not come apart, because I thought about using nothing but Stampin' Up adhesives, but at the same time I was like, I'm pretty sure no amount of glue dots no amount of glue dots would like completely hold this thing together. So all I'm doing is I had to start at a good starting point. That's the thing with this being long. But once you start going through it a few times, this part that you pull through gets a little shorter. But that part that I started right here, I just put Scotch tape down in order to help hold it. So today's demonstration is going to be nothing but this. And I am just, as I'm pulling it through the inside, I am slightly looping it over. And I'm pulling it a little tight because you don't want it to be so loose that, sorry, when it goes out of camera like that, I'm like stretching it out there. You want it to be tight. You don't want it to be so loose that it's bulky, around the edge. And I'm just slightly overlapping it. That noise. Whew. Oh, I made a knot at the end of that. I was like, what is that noise it's making? Somehow I managed to make a knot at the end. So it's not coming through all the way, but I might trim off that little piece there. Oh, it's raining. Showers in Northeast San Antonio. But I did also want to tell you while I'm doing this, I think I'm done. I want to go back and double check and make sure that I included all of the steps. But I am going to, all right, it caught onto my pieces there. I am going to be putting the supply list link is going to have like the full tutorial. That's not something that I normally do, but this time I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just go ahead and give them the full tutorial. So when I'm done with the video, it may take me a moment, and in the meantime it might say that the supply list will be loaded shortly, and that'll just give me some time to make sure that I got all the steps and all the pictures in the tutorial, as well as all of the supplies that I used to make this. And there's notes about the Scotch tape and the stamp set that we're using is well, it's actually a bundle, and I'm also using some paper, but it's the Expressions in Ink. The official name of that stamp set is called Artistically Inked. And the dies, the coordinating dies. So I'm just going all the way around. I'm looking at them over here, so I was going to show you once I get to a good stopping point with this. But you just want to go over and over. Make sure you overlap. And of course you can do this with any color ribbon. So if you really like the colorings, you know, you could switch this out for another ribbon. I wouldn't do white altogether, only because you might be able to see some of that wording through it. This one's not completely, you know, covering everything, but it does a pretty good job. And I think once everything is on there, you're focused so much on everything that you're like not even paying attention to what you might be able to see through. And if it really, really bothered you, you could just use some designer series paper to cover all that up. And I'm gonna do it one more time just to make sure. I don't want to stretch that one piece. So see this piece right here? I accidentally did that in a knot, and I don't even know how I did that. Pulling it through. Let me undo it. There we go. That way I can do this one last piece right there, and it's a good clean seam. And we're going to make this piece our back, by the way. And I might have to trim that just a little bit, but what I'm going to do is, this is about to finish coming together, this piece. So I've got some tear and tape, and I'm going to cut 2 small strips. And this is in the tutorial as well, but I just wanted to kind of point that out, that I'm adding tear and tape right there. And then let me take the backings off and expose that stickiness, because this ribbon that's coming through it, I want it to be able to stick pretty good right there. And then let me trim some of this off. I'm going to trim a little bit of it off. And then this piece right here, well, let me trim a little bit more off. I know in my tutorial I didn't have that big piece. I just folded it under, and then I added some more Scotch tape like right over that in order to kind of finish that off. That's probably too much Scotch tape, but okay. We're going to go with that. Okay. Now, this is going to be the back. That part that gets flapped over, that's going to be the back. And let me make sure that my glue gun is ready. Get another stick ready just in case. And I'm only using hot glue just to make sure that it sticks, like everything sticks together. I think I have enough. So what I also have is I die cut 2 pieces of this designer series paper, which just happens to be this other side, the specialty side. And I am going to, I need my trim as well. I'm also using the Simply Elegant trim, but I'm using the gold one. And I have I want to say this is a 6-inch. I need to double check. A 6-inch piece. Let me just use that as a guide. Yeah, that's a 6-inch piece. So I took a 6-inch piece of this, and I'm going to make a knot in the back. If I can do this live. I think on my sample I did it like 3 times. I did like 3 knots. I'm going to try to at least do another one if I can. I think my piece was longer, but I think this will still work because we're going to put hot glue down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put hot glue all the way around the edge. And my stick is about to be gone. Put another stick in there. There we go. And I'm going to put a little bit up towards the top. And then this piece right here, once I get this loop there, because I want that loop to kind of sit in the glue, we're going to put this piece over the back and give it just a little pressure. It is hot under there, by the way. This just helps cover up that hole, the tape, all of the little pieces that, you know, where everything kind of came together. And of course, if you wanted a different design or you wanted to use a circle or something else, you can certainly substitute that as well. Now what I am going to do is right here, I'm going to put a little bit more glue, hot glue, this is hot glue, because I want this piece of trim to catch on. And I'm just pulling it forward, kind of like that. That way it sits flat, because if you don't put some glue there, then it's so front heavy that when you go to hang it, it falls forward a little bit, if that makes sense. Okay, but that will handle. I'm just pressing it a little bit. It's kind of warmed down a little bit. I'm just pressing that down so that it dries so that we can hang it. Okay, and then this is our front. So let me put this hot glue aside. And by the way, when you're working with hot glue with some Stampin' Up! Products, or even with the heat tool, the silicone mat comes in really, really handy as well. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do the front. And with the front, we're going to be doing almost the same thing. We're going to be putting some glue around the base. Oops, I didn't mean to squeeze it in the middle. Because we have the other piece. I cut 2 of them out because I want this one to be in the front. And I'm moving mine up closer to like the top right, so a little bit of this shows, because some of this down here is going to be covered up with the dies. Okay, so these are the dies. This is this stamp set, Artistically Inked. We're going to be using, well, I've already done it, but I used this particular image, and I used this leafy image. But in the dies, I used this large detailed die, and I cut one of those out in gold foil. I know it's chopped off a little bit, but I'm going to be taking some of that off anyway, so I wasn't too concerned about chopping that off. And then we're going to use the die for the leaf, and then we're going to use that leafy die right there. Okay, so what I have is I have my gold piece, and I want some of this gone. I don't want all of it gone, but I'm going to trim off this little rose that's down here, and I'm going to disconnect this little piece here, and I have this picture in the tutorial as well. So really, all I want is that. I can throw that away. Okay, so we're going to be using this piece to help assemble our front. So this is the part that goes on, it's embedded in there. You can barely see it, but it's just enough to give it some color. And I've got a couple of pieces there that need to be out. I like to see all of my die pieces, so those two were the last ones there. Okay, so I have it this particular way, and then I also have, I die cut in our cardstock vellum, and then I also die cut a leaf in pear pizzazz as well, and then I see a couple of here. So I did 2 of each, and we're going to be using these die cuts and glue dots in order to add on. But what I want to do first is, remember that designer series paper that I used to do these little die cuts right here? The opposite side, what I did is I manually, because none of the dies match up to the designer series paper, only the stamped image. But I manually cut 2 of these out, and then I stamped 1 of them. But if you were doing this, you could definitely use three images from the designer series paper if you wanted to. Now what I did do is when I manually cut it, if you're concerned about any of the little white showing up around the edge and you want to clean that up a little bit, I have, looking for my sponge dauber. I have sponge daubers, and I took the edge of my sponge dauber and dipped it in pale papaya, and you can just kind of go around the edge, and that'll help fill in the little edges there and give it a little extra color if you're concerned about that. I wanted to do that on here, and I did cut close to the image, by the way. I didn't leave like a lot of white area like we normally do when we're, manually cutting around an image, because I want it to look that way. And the same thing with this one. I want to give it a little color around the edge. I think I missed that part in my little sample there, but I'm doing it on this one. Okay, so sponge daubers come in super, super handy when it comes to that. Now, what I'm going to do is I've got dimensionals. We're going to pop these up. This one right here, I'm going to use 1 dimensional. And let me take that off. We're going to pop that right here, and I'm leaving that one flat. And this one, I'm actually going to add 2 dimensionals, one on top of each other, because I want it to be up a little more, but I also want it to be a little roughed up. So I'm just going around the edge and kind of giving the flower a little with the edge of my fingers. That way it's not so flat when it comes up, when I put it on. And the more depth you want, the more you can kind of work it up. Okay, so that one's going to go there. And then this one, we're going to pop this one up on tubes as well. Take the backing off. And then I'm going to pop that one off to the side, like right there. And then I have 3 of these, and I wanted to show you. This one is stamped in pear pizzazz, And then this one is all, these two are also stamped in Pear Pizzazz, but if you notice, there's a little bit of color difference in there. What I did is I took, while my image was stamped in Pear Pizzazz, after it was stamped, I dipped another sponge dauber in Evening Evergreen, and then I daubed it on the top like that to get a little darker color. And then when I stamped it, you can see a little bit of that Evening Evergreen that pops up from that stamp. But we're going to put these on, and I want to curl the tips of these leaves. So I'm just curling them in. So I'm just using my fingers to help bring those forward a little bit so there's some dimension to the little leaves. And then we got some glue dots. We're going to start putting these on. It's just easier for me to work with a little strip of glue dots here. So we're going to get, I'm going to use 2 of them because I want to make sure this thing really sticks together. Okay, so we're going to put one there. And if you're wondering why I'm assembling on this silicone mat, it's because the glue is not going to stick. And this gives me a good starting point for attaching all of my die cuts and not worrying about it sticking to this paper underneath. Okay, need another glue dot. And then we're going to put this one over here on this side. I'm just sliding it under. Okay, so now we have those. Now, as far as these, let me do the vellum ones. I took this one and I cut this one in half. I'm going to use one part on one side and then this other part on the other side. So let me get rid of this long piece there. And we're going to put these down with glue dots as well. So let's get some glue dots. I'm going to put several glue dots on the base of those leaves. And then another one down here. Okay, so I've got like 3 glue dots on that one. And I'm going to slide that one back behind here. That way that's kind of poking out like that. And then this other one, we're going to do the same thing but on the opposite side. And let me put my glue dots on the front. That'd be easier. It's pretty quiet around here. There we go. Got enough glue dots there. And then we're going to slide this one back behind there. That one's probably sticking out a little more than I wanted, but if you want, you can also take your bone folder and curl these as well if you want them to curl forward a little bit. So we have that. And then we're going to do the same thing with these, but I'm going to use smaller cuts, which just means I'm going to take like one, put a glue dot on it, and then like slide it in between those leaves, the ones that I stamped. Let me get a glue dot. Let's put one over here. I love these die cuts. Love them. So I'm just picking and choosing from this one over here, which one I'm going to put on. Okay, and then we got another one right here. So if you're worried about it falling apart, definitely, you know, the more glue dots you use, it's not going to hurt anything. I think I got 3. Let me do another one. Let's do this one right here. Let's put this one up at the top. Got a glue dot. we go. And we're going to put this one right in here to help kind of break up that piece that I cut on that side. And of course, if you want, you can always finish cutting those, slide them wherever you want to slide them. Okay. Now, I'm also going to be using Stella. Who does not like Stella? Let me just mix that up a little bit. If you're not familiar with our Stella, it's basically glitter in a brush. And all I'm going to do is I'm just brushing the tips of the stamped leaves. You can certainly do this before. There's no right or wrong. Just to give it a little extra bling in there. If you've not worked with Stella, this is just so easy. It's glitter in a brush. And there's a little area right here that says push. So I'm just giving it a little push. And the glitter is squeezing out and it goes only where you want it to go. There's no mess to it. Except for like that one time. If y'all watched a video of mine like months ago, I don't know if I squeezed too hard or what I did, but like my Stella just kind of it threw up on whatever I was doing. So I was like, whoa, I don't think it's supposed to do that. Okay, so now what I have, I'm going to be adding a bow, and this one is using the Fine Art ribbon, and it's got gold in it. I'm just going to do a simple bow. So let's make a bow. Oops, pull that through there. Gonna make a bow. If you want to make a double bow with something else, you could certainly do that as well. I'm just gonna make a simple little bow. Nothing fancy. Try to get it the right size. There we go. And then we're gonna trim and get the right scissors here. Y'all, I came down the other day and my ribbon scissors, these little ribbon scissors were gone, and I was like, oh. My son was cutting paper on the kitchen table using my ribbon scissors, and I just about had a heart attack. He had to get the lowdown on, you can't just do that. You can't do that. So anyway, we're going to put the bow on, and I'm going to stick it right there. So I'm going to put some glue, because I want this bow to really stick. We're going to put the ribbon right there. I'm going to give it a little pressure, and I know it might look like it's sticking to that silicone mat, and it's not. I'm just going to give it enough time for it to dry. Get that piece. I may have to trim that off a little more. That doesn't look good. Okay. That still doesn't look good. Ooh. Okay, it's going to have to stay. That's going to have to stay. Because eventually this is going to start to... I still don't like that. I am totally messing this up. All right, hold on. Throw that away. Let's start that over. All right. Let's start over. Because somebody's going to win this. This is going to be the prize for next week. So I want to make sure that it looks as cute as my little sample. Okay. I don't know. Oh, it's because I was like, what is wrong with this? It's because my tails are going in the opposite direction from what I cut it the first time. So let me put those two together. That way they both look the same. Let's put some more glue down. That way this bow can stick. And then we're gonna fluff it up when we're done. I'll open those up, those loops up a little more. Okay, but we're gonna let that set and cool off, because it needs to cool off. And in the meantime, what we can do is we can put we can put our bumblebee trinkets on. So I've got some bumblebee trinkets, and I am just going to get some glue dots. We're just going to put glue dots on the back of them. And I'm going to put 2 of them on the back. So 2 glue dots, because I really want to make sure that this sticks. Okay, and one of them I put right here on the tip of that leaf. And then the other one I'm going to put in the middle of the ribbon. But I definitely still want to use 2 glue dots. And I want to put it on the ribbon, kind of going in an opposite direction than that top one. Okay, and I think that's dry enough, and I want to show you on our silicone mat, it did not stick. It actually just came off, and see where that glue dried. So our silicone mat, even these little pieces here, they just flake off, so nothing's going to stick to that. So that's a handy tool to have when you're working with hot glue or any of our adhesives as well. Okay, so here's the front. And what I'm going to do is, because I want this entire piece to stick really, really well on the front, so I'm going to put a, I don't know, quarter size, maybe, quarter size nickel. I think this is more like a nickel size of hot glue down. And then this entire piece that we just made, we're going to stick that on there. I think this one was bigger. I think this one was bigger than the one that I made. Oh well. It's still cute. I don't know why. Maybe I fanned this out a little more than the other one. Look, there's a big difference. Can you see? Mine's a little smaller. But you can still see it. So I'm just pressing down to make sure that the entire back of that piece sits and cools off with that glue that's cooling off back behind there. What do you think? There's certainly, you know, depending on how you put this piece together, you know, if you wanted to put a sentiment or something on it, you could definitely do that. Or you could just leave it as is. But this is the one that this is the one that I made. And then this is the one that we just made. And as you can see, it helps to have that hot glue right up here so that it hangs. And if you're worried about this ever coming off, you could do a double loop if you wanted to. Or you could also do, if you could figure it out, I tried and I just couldn't figure it out. But you could also use, you know, use a bow up there as well. This was what I was playing with, but if you can figure out how to do the bow and hang it with the bow, you could also do it that way. But I didn't want 2 bows to be on there, and I wanted to use some ribbon different than what I wrapped the ribbon spool. So there you have it. An awesome way to use up your spent ribbon spools. And I didn't use paper for the very reason because paper is not so forgiving wrapping. So, but I definitely want to do one with paper, but it'll have to be attached a little differently. Like a wreath, like a round wreath, the foam wreaths, it'll have to be something different. But I wanted to do something, and I wanted to share with you what you could do with your ribbon spool. So let me go back and look. Thanks, ladies. Hi, Jess. I know I've missed some comments, and when I'm done, I will go back through the comments and go respond. Carol says, looks like I'll be buying another flower set. Yeah, that happens. But you know what? This is what we're here for. We're here to show you, as demonstrators, we're here to show you and inspire you with what you can do with your products. You don't have to just make cards. You can make pretty little projects. This would be a perfect little gift for somebody. It's small. When I see things like this, I think of little things that you can hang in like nurseries. in your own craft room. Maybe put somebody's initial on it. These could be little favors of some kind. These colors look really pretty for like wedding. So something wedding, definitely. So, but I hope you enjoyed the demonstration. Like I said, I'm going to go double check the supplies and I will list the full tutorial in the instructions. So if there's anything that you see that from this that you would like to order, it'll be in the supply list. And that PDF automatically links to my store. So, and don't forget, there's today and tomorrow. You can take advantage of the monthly host special. And then come June 1st, it'll be a completely different online ordering special. So you all have a great, fabulous rest of your Sunday afternoons and evenings. And if you'd like to join me Wednesday night, I'll be back at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for the next scrapbook page layout. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.